This is the Civil Orders, July 4, 2014. Please listen carefully as my text to speech reader goes through it.
Members of the Domestic Police Forces, U.S. Marshal Service, the Provost Marshal, members of the American Bar Association and the American Armed Services. These organic American states of the Union known as the United States of America, Major, exercising plenary civil power upon the land hereby appoint General Carter F. Ham to lead and command the Grand Army of the Republic, GAR, and its successors under the guidance of the Joint Chiefs of Staff and with their full support. Should it become necessary to suppress commercial mercenary forces operating under the guise of being federal government agencies including but not limited to the Department of Homeland Security, the Federal Emergency Management Administration, the Internal Revenue Service, the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms, etc., General Ham shall assume immediate command and control of all armed forces and services owed to the United States of America, Major, stationed in North America and shall join them under his command as the Grand Army of the Republic. All forces of air, land, and sea are to be employed. Any cost or loss suffered as a result of deployment of the Grand Army of the Republic shall be charged as stipulated prior. All effort shall be made by the Grand Army of the Republic to spare life and property while undertaking any action whatsoever within the states of the Union without exception. The GAR is uniquely enabled by these orders to operate on the land of the 50 organic states for the purposes of securing the lives and property of the American states and American state citizens. The GAR is not a foreign army and is composed primarily of American state citizens. If required to take field position, the local commanders shall make every effort to communicate the basis of their authority and the reasons for their presence on American state soil to ensure a prompt cessation of hostilities and a widespread understanding of the usurpations and acts of fraud which have led to any conflict. All parties must be brought to understand the nature of the federal government, the limitations of its authority, and their own obligation to act in favor of the organic states of the Union. The Grand Army of the Republic shall continue to operate under General Order 100 known as the Lieber Code, extant from the pen of the last Republic President, Abraham Lincoln. Civil Orders. July 4, 2014. Unified Maine Common Law Grand Jury. David Robinson, 3, Linnell Circle, Brunswick, Maine, 04011 phone 207-798-4695 email, dearrobin88@comcast.net. Lex Naturales Dei Gracia. Androscoggin Aroostook Cumberland Franklin Hancock Kennebec Knox Lincoln Oxford Penobscot Piscataqua Sagadahoc Somerset Waldo Washington York. PSA 89:14 Justice and judgment are the habitation of thy throne, mercy and truth shall go before thy face. Underscore 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 on. No orders, executive or otherwise, issued by Barack H. Obama pretending authority on the land of the American states while operating as President of the United States Corporation nor as the President of the United States of America, minor, are owed any performance by the Joint Chiefs of Staff, General Ham, or any ordinary. All plainly stated grants of contractual authority evident in the Constitution for the United States of America remain in place, subject to good faith performance of the accompanying obligations and treaties. Mr. Obama is the president of a governmental services corporation under contract to provide stipulated services to the organic states and is on their payroll. He otherwise acts as a foreign dignitary representing the United States of America, minor. In neither of these capacities is he allowed any granted authority to impose upon American state citizens, endanger American state property, or command mercenary forces on American state soil however veiled as federal civilian service agencies. We require the Joint Chiefs of Staff and General Ham to commence measures to disarm federal civilian agency personnel and to seize control of the vast stockpiles of arms which have been improperly amassed by the Department of Homeland Security, FEMA, and other agencies employed by the United States. The only federal agency allowed free egress on the land of the American states is the U.S. Marshals Service, and then only when their personnel are engaged in their duty to protect the U.S. mail and sworn to act as constitutional officers. All other federal agency personnel are limited to unarmed service until further notice. We direct the Joint Chiefs of Staff to communicate these first two general civil orders directly to Mr. Obama, the members of the U.S. Congress, the administrators of all federal agencies, the members of the Supreme Court and those acting as governors to compel their rapid understanding and cooperation. Any expense or damage incurred by these organic states or any American state citizen as a result of actions undertaken by any federal agency personnel acting as armed mercenaries on American state soil will be understood as the result of violent crimes committed against the peaceful inhabitants of the land and will incur immediate judgment liquidating the assets of the International Monetary Fund, IMF, and the Federal Reserve, in payment of the stipulated reparations. Such crimes shall also be considered contract default, increasing the public debt subject to bounty. Any and all corporate officers of the United States or any successor organization, inheriting federal service contracts who support, condone, or promote such crimes against the American states or against American state citizens shall be subject to arrest and prosecution for commercial and violent crimes. All foreign officials operating as elected or appointed officials of the United States of America, minor, who support, condone, or promote such crimes against the American states or against American state citizens shall be subject to arrest, confiscation of their assets, and deportation to Puerto Rico, Guam, or such other states as may be willing to receive them. Such foreign officials include members of the American and British bar associations who were licensed to act as privateers against the interests of the American states and the American state citizens from 1845 to 2013 in flagrant breach of trust. All such licenses are now extinguished. Members of the bar associations are required to cease and desist assaults against the American states and American state citizens and shall be subject to arrest, confiscation, and deportation otherwise. Insomuch as corporate officers operating the United States of America, Incorporated, and the United States have contrived under conditions of fraud and semantic deceit to revenue the estates of the American states and living American state citizens to the foreign jurisdiction of the United States of America, minor, they are found guilty of capital crimes, including acts of fraud and treason committed between 1933 and 1945, and are condemned posthumously. Insomuch as elected officials operating the United States of America, minor, have similarly committed war crimes against the American states and their peaceful inhabitants during the same time period, they stand condemned posthumously. No enforcement upon any American state or American state citizen is owed as a result of any act of any Congress operating as the sovereign government of the United States of America, minor, nor as the Board of Directors or Board of Trustees of any incorporated entity whatsoever. All those, states and estates erroneously believed to represent the American states and American state citizens and which were conveyed by fraud and legal deceit to the United States of America, minor, and more recently to the city-state of the United Nations, are revenued without exception to the geographically defined American states and the American state citizens where they shall remain in perpetuity as assets belonging to the rightful and lawful beneficiaries. All legal fiction entities, however structured and named after the American states and American state citizens, are returned to them and their control, free and clear of any debt, promise, encumbrance or obligation alleged against them as a result of false claims made in their behalf by officers of the United States of America Incorporated and the United States Incorporated, or by any foreign officials operating the United States of America, minor, or the United Nations city-state, falsely claiming to represent them or have jurisdiction over them. We note that the current circumstance is in part the result of criminal acts engaged in 150 years ago, which resulted in the commercial enslavement of African Americans who were summarily claimed as chattels backing U.S. government debt in the wake of the Civil War. Despite every act of abolition and declaration of prohibition against both peonage and slavery, it has been the policy of the U.S. government to enslave its citizens and to operate as a rogue state among the nations of the world. Instead of freeing African Americans, the sum total result of the Civil War was to vastly expand public sector ownership of slaves, giving rise to the outrageous and improper claims that have been made against the American states and the American state citizens that we are dealing with today. It is uniquely fitting that the Grand Army of the Republic is recalled to settle this circumstance in favor of the people. The right to act comes with the responsibility to act. This notice is by my hand and upon my civil authority set this 4th day of July, 2014. Underscore 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 on Anna Maria Wilhelmina Hannah Sophia Riesinger von Reitzenstein von Lettow-Vorbeck, private attorney in service to His Holiness Pope Francis, in care of Box 520,994, Big Lake, Alaska Undersea. Copies to Joint Chiefs of Staff Major General David E. Quantock, other interested parties. Judicial notice: we the Unified Maine Common Law Grand Jury concur with the above notice. July 4, 2014. Signed under seal. David E. Robinson underscore 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 on Grand Jury Foreman Pro Tem. For a more detailed report, read Disclosure 101, What You Need to Know, https://www.createspace.com/4870915. Here is page 3 of Disclosure 101. Note: this book is an adaptation of an email I received from my friend Anna von Reitz that included 5 PDF documents which supplemented her email with information that every red-blooded American should know. I accepted Anna's offer to get hard copies of this information into the hands of Americans. I find it much to my advantage to have hard copy information to highlight and read without sitting at a computer for hours on end. I hope you will find this hard copy presentation an advantage.